Hey, what's up, everybody? This is an open discussion with C3 Films. My name is Chris, and this is.
Cheryl.
And today we're going to be talking about the television show, or the Netflix show specifically, 1899. So I believe we're only going to be talking about the first episode. We're not going to get into spoiler territory for the rest of the season, but we will at least spoil the first episode. So if you haven't seen that, you can go and check it out on Netflix, and then you can come back here and see what we had to say about it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. 1899. I could not help but notice the Lost vibes I was getting from watching it. It reminded me of the old school time of watching Lost and having to and seeing this kind of mystery box being built around this what feels like a potentially normal situation. I mean, in the case of Lost, it was a plane crash and they land on an island, and then you start to realize that certain weird things start happening on this. They're on a ship, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out that the lead character was Emily Beecham, who plays Moira, and she is an actress who I originally saw on a show called Into the Badlands, and where she played a character called the Widow, and she was a total cool character that was able to fight with the sword and was good at martial arts. She was a great character in that show. I miss that show a lot, but it was really good to see her come back and be the lead character in this particular show. So, one of the things that I was surprised about was the fact that this show like has so many different languages that are spoken in the like throughout the season, but like in this first episode, because I didn't realize it was going to be the ship with all these different people from all these different places all put together, and then having like these kind of this separation of communication between certain characters because not everybody speaks the same language. In this one scene, I think we end up hearing, or even just basically in the first episode, we end up hearing Spanish, Portuguese, German, English. I'm not sure if it's Cantonese or Mandarin,
It's
but one of those two.
Cantonese.
Cantonese, and we also hear what Danish as well in this. So it's crazy how many languages are spoken in this first episode. And French is
In
another one.
French,
So
yeah.
it's like wow. So that like completely surprised me. But let's go ahead and just hear a little bit about what you thought about it and kind of like how you kind of started moving into the show. Like what was coming over for you.
It's definitely, I think the theme for this week that Chris put together was shows and movies that Cheryl wouldn't like.
Wow.
Okay, I know, I take that back. Not that I wouldn't like, but they're just not for me. I am, again, not the target audience. However, I did think it was quite interesting. I didn't. So I think this is, again, like a reason why I'm not too keen on this is because of the mystery. Like, it wasn't that bad. Like, the questions that I was having, like it was a little bit of what's going on, but then there was also a lot of like, oh, what's this person's deal and what's up with them and stuff like that. And I think that was the intriguing part for me, is because everyone seemed to have some kind of mysterious reason that they're trying to conceal from others for being on that ship,
Yeah.
and everyone had their own agenda. We still don't quite know what everyone's agenda is, but I'm interested to know like what's up with everybody. And so I actually started to really enjoy the show, and I was like, oh, maybe I will like it, even though it's kind of scary. Um, but that dining room scene was really interesting, especially, I don't know if you noticed, but there's this one part where like they go wide and everyone sips their
Oh
tea
yes, the
at the
same
same
time.
exact time. And so I had actually rewatched that a couple of times because my boyfriend and I were like pausing it to like to see and look at that wide shot, and we noticed that some of like the waiters or like the people that were standing, they like freeze. And so then it become kind of becomes a supernatural sort of thing. And then there's more supernatural stuff that happens later on too, like that's more obvious than that one little thing. Because they do kind of sprinkle little drops and hints that there's some supernatural stuff that's gonna happen. And I think that's kind of where it started to lose me at the end of that first episode, where I was just like, wait, what? This is taking a really big turn, and I'm not sure if I want to continue watching this or not. Although my boyfriend really likes it, so I might have to. But
Your boyfriend has good taste. It's funny because I didn't notice the waiters freezing. So, like, full like disclosure, I finished the first season, and it absolutely is a first season. Um, and that is so when you I didn't notice that. Obviously, I noticed them all sipping because that's obvious, but like I didn't notice the waiters freezing, and that is absolutely important for later. And does and the whole thing is that like I found myself being pulled in because of like little sprinkles, like you were saying. And the cool thing about the things that we're getting, like we get like these little moments, is that they are kind of being drip fed to us that we're gonna like, and it's gonna be matter eventually. But also, it is a way of like the show just trying to like make sure it's like, hey, pay attention because this is not normal. And for all intents and purposes, the show begins feeling pretty normal. Like, I mean, Mora starts off like in a what looks like an insane asylum and then wakes up on her ship, but you see that she's looking for her brother, and she has like this envelope that has her name on it, but the captain has that same type of envelope except with his name on it. There's this thing about a missing ship called the Prometheus that disappeared 4 months ago. So like for me, I was thinking that it was going to be a, I don't know if you know much about the Bermuda Triangle, but like there's this whole idea that ships have gone missing in the Bermuda Triangle, and so people try not to like sail through it because you could become lost at sea and no one will ever find you. So I thought it was going to be kind of like a weird Bermuda Triangle type story, especially because when you see the advertisements, there's all this stuff about triangles. And even on the ship, there's this whole thing with triangles and emblems and things like that. So I thought that that was pretty interesting, and so like so that was part of the mystery that I was finding intriguing. And like you said, there's also a bunch of characters that have different reasons for being on this ship, but they're also kind of trying to hide like why they're here. Some people seem like they're running from something. These people have done stuff in their past, so that's the other part that made it feel like lost to me. Where it's like, okay, so all these characters, like they have some histories and things like that. So I'll be curious how that's going to tie in to the rest of like the overall story and the reason why we're all here. I will say, like, we're not going to spoil by talking specifics of like the rest of the season. I will say that I was disappointed at the end of the season because I did not get as many answers as I thought I would get by the last episode. Um, you do get some answers, and I do think that they're interesting. But I guess because the show was wanted to make sure they had something to pull you into the second season, there's a lot of stuff they still play close to the chest. So by the time that you're done, I did not feel as satisfied as I was expecting to feel. And I noticed that I might feel that way when I got to the next to last episode. And I realized that a lot of these questions still hadn't been answered because I said they can't cover all these questions in a 40-minute or to an hour long episode because there's too many characters and there's too much to cover. And that's what ended up happening. So I do still think that it is worth the journey because there's a lot of interesting mysteries that are put forth, and it's not exactly what you expect. I like supernatural stuff, and it wasn't what I was expecting. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I do have reasons for wanting to continue watching it, and I think one of the biggest ones are not so much like the overall thing of like what's going on, and they even had that whole moment of like, but how did they send a telegram? And it kind of gave me that like she died 10 years ago kind of vibe. And like you would think that that's the most interesting thing, but for me, it actually wasn't. I think the most interesting thing to me was actually the story of whatever's going on with the French people, because like they really did a good job, and I think the actress who plays the French girl is very good.
Clemence, I think her name is.
I'm
Maybe.
not sure, but like it's because like I really thought that she was sincere, and like the guy was a total jerk,
Jerk.
and then he was like, you don't have to pretend, like you can drop the act, and then he like leaves, and then I'm like, wow, that's so messed up. And then she makes this like
Smile.
face, and
Yeah.
it's like so like not subtle, but like it was just like the the most just right expression that you could make.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, what is her deal? What is she hiding? And I think that's what makes me interested, is like, why is she pretending, where like she has this act that like even though he knows that she's doing an act, she still does it in front of everyone unless she's alone. So I thought that was interesting, like something's gonna happen there. And
Hmm.
the other thing that, maybe I'm biased, but I'm really interested in knowing what's up with the Chinese ladies, because they're pretending to be Japanese.
Hmm. I got
Um,
so my brain got so confused in that moment because I was hearing what I thought was Cantonese, but I was like, why is she dressed like a geisha? And I was like, that's she's wearing Japanese style clothing, but I'm hearing Cantonese words. What is I was like, what is happening? I was like, do I not know something about like Chinese like garb or dress or something? Do I need to go look up stuff? And then you find out,
they're
they're
pretending.
pretending.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And they're doing this because, or I not that I know the reason, but they're taking orders from this woman that is
Hmm.
British, and she is the one that's like kind of chumming up with our main character, the English lady. So, um, in a sense, they're all probably gonna be connected in some way. So I hadn't seen Lost, but I've heard a lot about it, and I had seen parts of it, so I can definitely see how it's kind of like Lost,
Hmm.
where like all the characters just kind of end up being intertwined. But I can kind of see how like there was a lot of setting up of the board in that first episode,
Yeah.
um, but there was enough in there to not disappoint. Like it's not all just set up. So
Yeah. Uh, it is definitely, like you said, setting the board though. They even um like we see the mystery of the fact that a ship has gone missing, and by the end of that first episode they find the ship, right? Like and they say like how did the ship give a telegram and stuff like that. And that's really important because the whole point is that the ship's been missing for 4 months, so no one should be alive on that ship. And so now you have this whole question of, okay, so that's when I was thinking, oh, is it Ghost and blah 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 blah. But um when they remind me in the first episode, do they find the ship and go to it, or they just find the ship?
they go to it, and then they find a boy.
Okay, so that happens in the first episode. They find a boy locked in a cabinet with like
Oh,
from he's on the
and he's
inside.
holding a, is he holding a bug or something? Or no, he's
He's
holding
holding a
a
pyramid looking
pyramid.
thing.
Yeah, but I'm interested to know what's up with the bugs, because there's, I don't know if you remember, but there's this one moment kind of fairly early on in the episode where our main character, like she has a lot of um like kind of panic attacks, or like she's going through some psychological trauma,
Hmm.
and she has like visions or memories. I'm not exactly sure what they are. I think they're memories, but she there was like a flash frame of one of those bugs, and then we see those bugs later on, and then there's this guy that came out of like the water
The
or something,
water.
and he's like
Yeah.
wet, and I'm like, who is this guy? So the first episode really ends with a lot of questions of like, and that's the big turn that took that kind of got me, and I was like, I don't know if this is because I already had a lot of questions, and in the last like 2 minutes, you just gave me like 10 more questions, and and I don't know if I want to keep track of that many questions, and that's just a lot.
It
It's
no,
a
it is a
lot.
it is a lot because it's even a lot. It was a lot for me to try to keep up with. But I was enjoying the. I will say that as someone who finished the season, I was enjoying the ride until the last episode, and it wasn't because the last episode was poorly done. It was just the fact that I wanted more. I wanted more closure to the setups that we had seen thus far that didn't seem that for me didn't come, and I'm sure that it's something that we'll figure out more because there's a really big stinger at the end of the last episode, which if you ever do finish it, I will be curious to hear your opinion on that. But the the lead up to it, the entire first season is very bingeable. If you want to talk about bingeable TV, like that was a very easy show for me to binge because of how the mysteries lead you into the next episode with the carrot. Like, hey, we're gonna address this thing you just saw. So you want to start watching it right now. So they do that very well. It definitely feels like a binge, a show that you binge. And I think I finished it in like maybe like 3 or 4 days. Total, I think there's like it's either 8 or 10 episodes. So I would like maybe watch 1 or 2 episodes a night. But yeah, it's I think that it was overall enjoyable for me. And the first episode for me also really hooked me into like wanting to see more. The only reason I even picked this show was just because it was popping up all over my Netflix and it was new. And I was like, I saw like one of those clips where the captain is talking to the people and telling them that they found the Prometheus and they're gonna go, and the people are all upset. And I was like, huh, that seems interesting. I'm just curious what this is about. But after actually watching it, I overall enjoyed it. I was not a fan of the last episode.
How would you rate this on us like a scary level? Like how scary is it in your opinion and for me watching it?
It's not scary. There are tense moments, but those are tense moments that you would see like in like a thriller or something like that. The more that
Jump
you watch it,
scares?
no, not really jump scares, just kind of like creepy tonal stuff. Where you're just like, all right, what is this? Um, it gets less scary as you keep watching, and that's because of the nature of the things that you start to see around the ship and around these people. So because of like, you do get an answer as far as some of those things, and when you get those answers, you start to understand you start to get an idea of what's really happening, and because that's in the back of your mind, it's not scary anymore.
Okay. In that case,
So
I will continue watching.
yes, like Playmat said, like 2 out of 10 at the most. It's really
Okay, but
not.
you have to subtract 5 for Cheryl.
You'll be fine. You will absolutely be fine.
I
Like
was
I said,
scared of watching Hot Fuzz.
I that actually makes sense. Actually, that actually makes sense. Not
Okay.
even that makes sense.
Every time I
That
tell
tracks.
people that, they laugh at me.
I
I
can
get
understand
pointed
that
at and laughed at, and
one.
then I go cry in a corner in a fetal
Oh,
position. Like, people
that's
are so mean.
that's pretty funny though. Yes, you'll be fine, and you're also not watching it alone. So, yeah, as you keep watching it, you'll understand why. I don't want to say if I said it, I could say something that would give it away, but I don't want to. But I will just simply say that as you keep watching and the mystery gets more revealed, you start to understand more about what the show actually is. And when you understand what the show actually is, it's not going to be scary for you.
Next C3 Horror Week, when? I don't know, but I'm not gonna be here for that week.
You're like, yo, I'm busy that week.
Life is happening.
Exactly. So, but yeah, all in all, that's how I feel about it. You were saying that you think that you might continue watching it with your boyfriend just so that you can finish it, and also because he likes the show?
Yeah, I mean he's already watched a couple episodes, but he actually stopped because he said it was getting kind of scary, but also his time is being fought over with God of War, so God of War is winning. But if I am gonna watch it, he'll probably watch it with me. I'll probably be the push to help him finish watching the season. So
Okay, cool then. Well, I'll have to ask you about what you're feeling once you all get done with that. But
yeah, we can
um,
maybe have a follow up.
yeah, we can have a follow up for that one. You watched Midnight Mass. Wait a second. You watched Midnight Mass.
It was
That's
scary.
way scarier than this.
Midnight Mass was scary.
But you finished it.
But it was good. I really liked it.
Midnight Mass is way scarier than this. That just popped in my head. Yes, you can
Okay.
absolutely watch this show.
I was actually gonna ask, like on a scale of Midnight Mass to what was that scary movie that we watched? To no, not Constantine. The one with the Anna doll, but it's not that movie.
It's not Annabelle.
Yeah, it's part of that series.
Oh, it's not. It's
And
probably, oh,
it starts with the
yeah, it's probably
C.
The Conjuring. The Conjuring.
The
3.
Conjuring, yeah. So on a scale of Midnight Mass, The Conjuring, or Hot Fuzz, The Conjuring, and Midnight Mass is in the middle.
It's
Where
Hot
does
Fuzz.
this fall?
Maybe it's a
Hot
step
Fuzz.
above Hot Fuzz. If that is the scale I have to work
It's
with.
scarier than Hot Fuzz.
Yes, it's maybe a little scarier than Hot Fuzz, but nowhere near Midnight Mass.
Oh man.
Oh
All
my
right.
lord.
Well, if it's in between
Um,
Hot Fuzz and Midnight Mass, I think I can handle it.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Like I said, you'll see what it's about, and you'll be able to know. But that's everything that I had to say for this. But did you have anything else that you wanted to touch on before we get out of here?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right, and if you guys want to see us talk about this and more, you can check us out on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/C3 Films. It'd be great to see you guys over there. We talk about basically everything and more about like segments like this that we don't record for our YouTube. But what do you guys think about 1899? Did you see it? Have you watched it? Have you been enjoying it? Has the mystery kind of been carrying you through? Do you want to see more about these characters? Are there characters that you don't really like? What have you thought about it? Comment below. Let us know. And while you're down there, if you give us a like, share, subscribe. Even if you don't, though, I have been Chris, and this has been
Cheryl, and we'll see you all next